Hey guys, welcome to LITTLEBLACKBOOK91. Listen, I've pulled a special one for you. I've done it differently this time. I haven't got my mic, so please don't kill me. But I am still in the UK, by the way. I'm not out of the country. Okay, I'm still here. But I've managed to snag an interview with the infamous, wonderful. I know some of you think he's polyamorous as well. So we're gonna discuss all of that on the show. But I'm joined by the wonderful Fritz. Fritz, how you doing, man?
What's up, man? I appreciate you coming out here.
It's all right, man. It's all right.
Like I know, you said it was like 2 hours away,
Yeah,
an hour away, but I appreciate you making it out. It's my first time in London, and I'm having a good time. London people is cool. They out here giving away free sections. They, they ask for pics. They're real nice. They're cool. Like I'm enjoying my experience. I took way too long to come out here, but I'm definitely gonna come back.
I love that. I love that. Well, listen, audience, we're going to be talking about Ready to Love. I know you guys want to know a lot more, especially all of us who were wondering why they took a 6-month break. Okay, I say 6 months, I'm exaggerating. But we're going to talk about, obviously, Fritz first. We want to understand him a bit more, get to know him a bit more before we jump into the show. So if you're here and you're a part of and right now you're in the audience, make sure you're leaving a comment in the chat. Make sure you're liking the live as well. And just sit back and enjoy a good show. Please keep it classy, keep it cute, and keep it kosher in the chat as well. All right, moderators, do what you do best. Okay. Well, listen, Fritz. I always open up the conversation with one question, which is first and foremost, who is Fritz and what is Fritz's story?
All right, Fritz is a regular guy. Regular guy. Grew up in I would say we grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Kind of like lower class, but it wasn't like my mother didn't make a way. Like I never felt like I had less. Christmases were cool. Like I didn't know I had less until we moved to the suburbs.
Yeah.
So and then I saw people with more, and even then she still found a way to do the whole keep up with the Joneses. So we went from like being in Brooklyn to being in lower class to being in like lower middle class. And but she managed to raise 3 beautiful kids.
Wow.
I got a little brother, I got a little sister.
Shout out to
We're
Mom.
all doing well. Yeah, my Dukes she killed it. My little sister is coming out of Howard Pharmacy School, and I was Howard undergrad, and and my little brother got a real estate empire. He's killing the game. Beautiful wife, 17 years. I got my nieces and nephew on that side. But in the end, Fritz is a regular guy, real chill, all about, I'm all about having a good time, but I'm also a lot reserved. I could be very private, very vulnerable. This is my first interview ever. And the reason I'm doing this interview is because, I've gotten some pressure from friends to say, hey, yo, speak your truth. Because you're not the person they portray. Like you're funny, you're chill, you like to have a good time. You're not polyamorous. But if you let people just run with whatever, narrative that they gave them, they'll always believe that. Like hashtags are just hashtags. I had like 37 hashtags on there.
There's a lot of hashtags.
Yeah. They don't even show up on my algorithm.
Why you got so many hashtags? That's the real question.
At the time when they added that feature, they don't even work. Like, I got daily affirmations on there. Nobody wants to talk about that. I got Jesus is King. Nobody wants to talk about that.
Amen.
And amen to that too. But they stuck with the negative stuff because, controversy sells.
Yeah.
But, as a guy, everybody's. I know women that listen to murder podcasts. Am I supposed to assume that they're gonna kill me or kill someone? I know women that sleep to that, and and I'm not shaming them. Just don't shame me for whatever. Yeah, like when I look at that, I just be like, I'm impressed.
So you're intrigued. You was intrigued by.
I was intrigued.
Okay,
I am intrigued.
I'm
Yeah,
about it. What I'm saying to you.
There's nothing wrong with being intrigued by a man taking care of 3 queens at the same time.
I mean, hey,
I'm taking notes.
It's 2025, but I'm just saying. But okay, so I love that. Obviously, you broke down that Mama Dukes was taking care of you guys.
Yeah.
So there was 3 of you. You guys all seem very accomplished.
Yeah,
as well within that space. So take me back then. So as a young kid, we all have dreams.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sure it's not to be polyamorous either. But we all have dreams. So I want to know, what was your dream as a young individual?
My first one was to be an astronaut. I wanted to go into space.
You want to be an astronaut?
Yeah, I wanted to be, I wanted to be Buzz Lightyear. I wanted to be Buzz Aldrin. I wanted to be but it wasn't like, I didn't have like those dreams in a sense where I wanted to do something that no one else was doing.
Okay.
For some reason, as a kid, I just didn't. I felt like this planet wasn't me. Like as a kid, I felt like my true home was somewhere else. Like it wasn't here. But if I go out there, I could probably find it. Like I never felt comfortable when I was 6, 7. I didn't go out much. I still don't go out much.
What was happening for you at the time that you didn't feel that comfortability in terms of like you're not from here?
You know what?
I get what you're saying.
I'm not gonna lie. I got bullied a lot when I was a kid because I got my first pair of glasses at 5 years old. So
what are your glasses now?
LASIK.
Oh,
yes. It's the best investment you can make. To my brothers that still got 4 eyes or whatever.
I was like, wait, what's the glasses?
Nah, you get your LASIK. I got my LASIK done when I was 26. The best investment I ever made. It changes everything, know. But I did get contacts when I was 15.
Okay.
But if you're not responsible and not taking them off every day, you're gonna get a torn cornea, and then your eyes are gonna be this big, like they swelled up on me, and I had to get surgery. And then my doctor said I was lucky to even keep my eye, but that's because I was wearing my contacts 30, 40, 90 days at a time.
Yeah, I used to do something like that. Not as long as that, but I used to wear them for a couple of days.
I'm swimming in them. I'm dirt biking.
But were they breathable? Were they breathable ones?
See, this is like
or the ones that were
3.
Yeah, that's early.
Yeah, so those contacts did it. It wasn't like these contacts now. They were made to be taken off. These were the dailies, and I'm wearing the dailies seasonally. So I was just an irresponsible 10th grader. But I didn't want to go back to the kid that was getting bullied.
I get you.
So like, imagine 5 years old, right? This is at the heart of Family Matters. Jaleel White, Steve Urkel. I looked like him.
I hear it.
Like, I'll send you a picture later. I really looked like Steve Urkel, and I was getting tossed upside down.
Damn.
Like I was in Brooklyn. So in Brooklyn, you were sheep or wolf at that time. Like now, if you're funny, you could kind of maneuver things. Like I know people still get bullied, but not like they did back then. Back then, bullying made you want to leave this world. Like it was bad. And my father wasn't really around to show me how to maneuver that. And my mother worked so hard, I didn't want to put that on her plate. Like I feel like it's not a mom's job to fight their bullies. Yeah. And so I never came to her and said, I'm getting bullied. But I used to like come to her for a hug, and she just didn't know why. And she would make it better. Like and that lasted for a long time till we actually left Brooklyn. And my mom left Brooklyn to make a better way for us. And so now I'm doing high school in Upper Darby, and the bullying kind of continued, but then I got contacts, and that's the same year my mom got me a car. So I went from this bullied cat to I got my do-rags. I finally figured out the waves. I'm wearing, I'm wearing baggy clothes. I got no glasses. You would have thought a kid from another town just moved in, but I was here the whole time. But now, between, the car and everything, my whole life shifted. It's like the cool cat overnight.
What was that like, having that shift? Because that's a power change, right? So what was that like, having that shift, and suddenly now you're no longer that person that's marginalized and pushed aside, that's bullied? What was that like for you?
You know what happens? That dynamic shift does not mesh well with with the personality traits you built in your trauma. Yeah. So what's gonna happen is you got a brother who doesn't know how to keep friends. Yeah. Who now has 1,000 friends, but he doesn't know you don't have 1,000 friends. These brothers, they're using you for your car. Yeah. or your juice or your motion or your riz. Like now now you have to learn a couple lessons later in life that you should have learned in elementary and middle school. You know, like the cat that had the best lunchbox with the best food, he had all the kids around him. They just trying to eat off you. You learn that in 5th grade. I didn't learn that until freshman year of college.
Jeez.
So I'm thinking, you know, everyone who's around me is for me. And it's like, nah, you just got a little juice. That's all it is. You got a little bit of riz. And that's what the kids call it, my nephew. But it's fine. I'm not one of those brothers who wishes I knew everything earlier. I'm in my case, when I finally do have kids, I'm just gonna make sure everything I wish they knew, they're gonna know in an earlier timeline. So the story arc of becoming a man, I'm gonna make sure it's not, you know, 35. It's gonna be 25. You know, I'm gonna knock 10 years off that story arc. And then for my grandson, he gonna make sure he's settled at 15. You know, and my great grandson gonna be 5 years old, shitting on everybody. You know, just make sure that, you know, every generation 5 years sooner, they just that guy. And my great grandson, he gonna come out the womb, just ain't fuck everybody, you know.
I hope he's not.
Oh wait, am I allowed to curse on here?
No way.
Beat everybody.
So okay. So saying that, you got now the motion, you got the riz, you got the juice. It's working, and you're now discovering new things about yourself and realizing that life is shifting in your favor. Okay, so how does dating play a role now? Because obviously, you know, you've gone from being the bully to being the superstar almost in a sense. So how does dating now come into play? When did you start dating actually?
So I messed up. I won't say I messed up. Everyone got their own story.
Yeah, you had your journey.
The first girl that gave me some play at 15, when I got my contacts, I married her. I messed up. She was the first girl that ever wanted me. But I didn't, after her, I was getting attention from everybody.
It's different.
But I didn't know. I didn't know that everyone was gonna start coming. I just thought she was the only girl that noticed me. No, she was the girl at the church. So she was the first person to see the transformation.
Damn.
You know, she's at the church. And that's my homie's like sister. So it's like I'm giving him a ride to school all the time. The sister is like, you know, whatever. And then, you know, she's coming in the car. And now I'm giving them both a ride. And, you know, we go to movies together. We hang out together. And eventually I end up, you know, marrying her. But that's because she was the first girl that gave me that kind of interest. After her.
Why did you marry her? Because marry, like, I get dating, but why did you marry? What was going through your mind that you wanted to marry?
You know what?
That's different.
I'll keep it all the way 100.
Okay.
I married her. I loved her, but it wasn't like I knew her.
Okay.
You know, you don't know anybody at 15. 15, 25, 35. Those are 3 different women.
Yeah.
They're 3 different men too. So I loved how she made me feel as a man.
That's real.
She was the first person that made me feel like a man. You know, like I did realize that life was shifting in my favor, but she was the first one that gave me that, okay, like, you know, you're having sex. I see you, you know, like I see you when you put on your do-rag. I see you when you brush your waist down. I see you.
She appreciated you.
She appreciated me. She made me feel like a man. And because of the proximity to my best friend, my homie, I didn't want him to think that I'm dogging his sister. Okay. So I actually told this man, I'm going to marry your sister. This ain't going to be like...
It's a matching, yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up doing that. And so I got married at 21.
Okay.
So when you say, like, when did you start dating? For me, dating didn't happen until after the divorce.
Wow.
I never dated after her. Like, well, I never dated within her.
Yeah.
Like, I meet this girl at 13. We're dating at 15. We're married at 21. Divorced by 24.
Ooh, you had a perfect story up until 24, baby.
Yeah.
You had a perfect story up until 24.
Yeah. But, you know, it's funny because I got married at 21. My little brother got married at 20 to her best friend.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
Okay.
they were both in the same church.
Wow.
And like my little brother was not like me. I feel like he always was a little bit more edgy, a little bit more cool. So he didn't have a problem per se getting girls. I think he just had a problem talking to them, or like. But they always saw him, in that sense. But when I get with this girl, he gets with her best friend. And if you would have asked anybody how these two relationships are going to go about, because like we're all in the same church, we're all Haitian, we all got the same religion, it's a close knit community, and he is still married.
Wow.
So he's 17 years married.
Ooh, baby, he indeed.
I would have been 17 years married. Like, so he pulled off what I failed at. But
and it's a set of trauma, though, isn't it? It's a different set of trauma, right? Because for you, like you said, your one was you weren't seen.
Yeah. You know what? I will say I'm really close with my brother. So every time we hung out, like his wife is like a little sister to me. Every time I'm with them, it's like I'm walking into what I should have had.
No. You have to explain that. We have to explain what that means.
Like, and I have these late night kitchen conversations with them all the time, but it's like I got married same year as them.
Oh.
Yeah, I got married at 21. He got married at 20. Same year. He's 1 year younger than me.
Oh, okay.
So I got married the same year as them. We were dating each other's best friends, and so with us getting married at the same time and dating each other's best friends and watching their marital relationship go the way it did and watching me pretty much throw in the towel on mine, I get to see them and see like almost like an alternate universe as to what mine could have ended up like. Because they're 17 years in with the 3 kids. I didn't make it to year 17, but this would be year 17 for me. They got the 3 kids. I didn't have any children with her, but I'm pretty sure I would have ended up with 3 kids. Like the whole plan and vision is exactly what they have. Like, so everything is exactly the way that. The pool party, that was shot in his house.
Wow.
So it's like he was actually celebrating their year 16 anniversary that same weekend. So he was like, oh yeah, just, shoot it, you can shoot it here. And then I did read the comments. Nobody rented it. Nobody rented. There's no Airbnb. It's like producers rented it. Those guys are cheap. They ain't gonna rent it. But my brother was kind enough to let me shoot in his house. I have a nice little loft too. I'm not broke, but I digress. I would have went this direction had I stayed in my marriage.
So do you have
kids,
some type of regret? And when I say regret, not in a way like
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Not like in keep you up at night regret, but more so in what could have been regret, or if you made the right choices. Yeah. Or like, and I don't believe in like regret. Yeah. Because like when people harbor regret, they're looking at life through a perverse view of timelines. Okay. Like they're looking at, oh, there's another timeline where I went to this school. Yeah. Or there's another timeline where I didn't go to this, where I didn't pick her. You can't look at life like that. There is no alternate timelines. Everything happened the way it was gonna happen, supposed to happen. There's no timeline where you did something differently. But so when I look at, like you look at Marvel, people are in love with the whole timeline theory because it allows people to feel like even if I'm not happy here, maybe I'm happy in another timeline, or there's another timeline where I did something else. And life isn't like that. Yeah. There's literally one prime timeline. And when I say prime, I mean only. Like this is it. And when you start seeing that, you'll take care of that timeline. You'll take care of your life. You'll start realizing this is the only one. So any L's you took weren't losses, they were lessons. Yeah. And Me personally, I do believe before we came down here physically, we were spiritual.
Okay.
And after this physical form is over, we'll go back to the spirit.
Mm.
And I don't remember my spiritual form, but I'm not gonna remember my physical form when this is over. Like, I don't remember being on my mother's womb. I know what happened. And I know to some extent I must have chose this. This wasn't just given to me. Like, I don't believe in randomization. Like, I must have chose this specific life for me. And in a world that's probably 4-dimensional, I probably saw exactly how this ended, and I still chose this. So I'm okay with whatever lessons I have to take in this form. So, and I'm still learning. I'm learning every day. But at the very least, I know you just got to. Their foundation is kind, resourceful / helpful, and just authenticity, and just I don't know. If you're kind, you're resourceful, you're authentic. I think the rest of the vibrations will just flow right in. But to answer your question, I do not have much. I didn't have much experience dating until 25.
Okay. So June 25 and the show. Briefly, what was dating like for you then?
Wait. Oh, from 25 to the show?
To the show. Before the show, what's dating like at that point? Because obviously at that point now, you have an experience that most people do not actually have. You got married young, you've done it, you've come out of it, and now you're in you've re-entered the dating market. Right? Haven't been out the game for a decade almost.
Yeah. No,
right?
No, you're right. And what I will say is there's pros and cons to it.
Okay.
And the pros is by the vantage point of who you are, like man or woman.
Yeah.
For the women, I was doing too much.
What's doing too much?
Like,
I think I know what you mean, but I just want to be sure.
So it's like if she wanted to move in, we moved in.
Okay.
Like within 3 months of dating. And like you're 26, so the very next woman that I was with, I wanted to marry her. The very next woman. And she's cool as hell. She was in med school. She was going to PCOM. We was running together, running marathons. Like we were doing all the date stuff, and we was doing weekly dates. And it took me a while to realize I was giving her husband energy because husband is all I ever know. I didn't know how to dial it back. For me, I was a husband my whole life. I never knew how to date. So I didn't know like you date to get to know someone. The next person I got with, I wanted to marry her because that's the first thing I did last time. So I'm giving her husband energy because that's the only energy I know.
Wow.
And eventually I was accused of love bombing. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, am I killing you with love? Like, and then you realize, okay, in the normal world, you're supposed to elevate with time. It's supposed to be, love is supposed to be progressive. You don't treat somebody like a wife in the beginning because it's considered manipulative. I wasn't trying to be. But then I learned, okay, I'm not a husband anymore. You can't treat the next woman like a husband. I mean, a wife. You can't treat the next woman like you're her husband. You can't just offer to like move her in and now you're paying all these bills and she's having less on her plate. Every man should do that for their wife. I don't believe men should do that for their girlfriends. To some extent, progressively, you can ease the load as milestones happen. But you don't come in doing all that because you're either actually trying to manipulate her, or B, you don't know your worth as a man, and that's why you're giving too much away.
Oh, now answer that question for yourself. What does that mean? When you say that, which one are you falling on? Which side are you falling on? That's what I want to know. What side?
No. The men that do that, they fall under one side.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to shame those men. They just need to understand your masculine energy is just as valuable as a woman's feminine energy.
Yes.
So if a woman is sleeping with a man or giving her body too early away, it's the same thing that's happening with the man. She doesn't have the self-worth of a woman, or B, she's playing the role of a wife too soon.
Okay.
Something is happening.
So which side are you falling on? That's what I'm asking.
Huh?
So
today?
No, at the time, at the time. Which side were you falling at the time?
At the time?
Yeah.
Oh, at the time, I was playing the role of a husband too soon because I had just came from being a husband. And I didn't know how to be something else. Okay. I didn't know how to date. I saw the first baddie that was interested in me
and locked it up
and cuffed it because that's all I knew. Like when you 26 with only 3 bodies, you don't really have a sense of how to maneuver, shake. You only had sex with 3 people your whole life.
Yeah.
And like the first person was a one and done. So you really was just a serial relationshipist.
I understand what you're saying.
So it was after her I got to unpack my trauma, or after her I learned more about myself.
How did you get to a place where you were able to start? In fact, what was the catalyst to get you to a place to want to even unpack some of that trauma? Because some people just go through life and they won't even unpack it. They just keep on moving.
The breakup. It was the breakup. Okay. Yeah, I will say it was a breakup. But more importantly, it's a woman telling you things about you that you didn't take seriously from your wife. Because when another woman is saying it, it hits differently.
It does.
My wife, I was like, you know me since I was 12. Like, how dare you say these things about me? Then that means I was these things the whole time.
Yeah.
But then when you're another woman who doesn't know your wife is now telling you,
the same thing.
I hate the way, you can have a condescending tone. I hate the way you explain things. I hate the way you and I won't say they use the word hate, but I heard hate.
Yeah.
So it's like, whoa, she sounds just like Shaunie. Okay, maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. But when you haven't dated, you think your wife is, trying to control you or manipulate you. But in reality, they just wanted you. They were chiseling
away at some of the things that need to be modeled.
Exactly. Yeah. Like marrying young is a different type of struggle. Like when you marry people at 30 plus, I believe
you know yourself a bit more.
You know yourself a little bit more, but more importantly, your partner knows themselves a little bit more. So when you marry someone, people say they're marrying for love, but they don't truly know what comes with that love. When you marry someone for love, unconditional love, you're marrying all their mistakes for the rest of their life. Yeah. That's what you're marrying. You're not marrying the good shit, because everyone will get married if that's the case. People can't stomach the mistakes, and that's why they get divorced. If you get divorced because of a mistake, then that means you never married for the true reasons. God loves us. What if he decided to divorce us every time we sin? We'd be fucked. I mean, I'm sorry, we'd be, we'd be screwed. I'm glad God doesn't see the marriage to us the way we see marriage to people. Because when we screw up with each other, we go to the courthouse. Then y'all was never truly married. Y'all didn't know what marriage is. And that's why, and I don't think humanity's ever going to figure that out. So it's best you marry later, because the mistakes you make from 20 to 30 are a lot harder to stomach than the mistakes you make 30 to death. And if you got a boy or a girl who has a longer story arc in, becoming an adult person, you might have to wait till 35 or 40
before you get it.
Before they should get married. Because then that person is going to have to stomach a lot more mistakes in life than you marry at 21. Because the stuff that we get into at 22, 23, 24. Those are like stories for your grandkids. They're not stories for your partner to stomach, especially if you're married, because it's like, damn, that's not why I got married. Like, so our marriage went through more than it should have because we were so young.
But to be fair, obviously, if you're young, right, there's going to be things you have to. There's things that have to be chipped away, right, and modeled and reshaped. You know what I'm saying? Too. And even when I was just saying, I'm like, like probably at your age, at that time as well, I would have been the exact same way. I've been told sometimes I have a condescending tone. I intellectualize things too much. I'm very black and white.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Too. I'm very direct, and sometimes when I say things, I don't consider that person's feelings. But sometimes, I also start realizing yourself until someone said it the second time, and I was like, okay, maybe it's me. But sometimes also it's also a fear response.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's maybe the way that you've also been trained. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's what it really is. It's not the person. See, the person itself will take it as an attack. But in reality, you don't have a different way of approach. That's what it is. I don't have an approach that's, well, back then, I didn't have an empathetic approach. I had a solution-oriented approach.
Yes.
So, like, I'm not going to talk about the problem. If the problem is occurring, I'm focused on the solution. Because for me, every second talked about the problem was idle time. That's dead time. But it wasn't until later in life I realized most of the women I ever dated wanted to talk about the problem.
And that's actually how the problem gets solved. That's how the problem gets solved.
Who would have thought? Like, this shit is wild.
It's different.
Like, yeah, and this is the Men Mars Women Venus thing.
Absolutely.
You know, because like it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal if you don't understand that.
Yeah.
But it's a big deal if you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
And you can model that empathetic approach that all women need. That level of empathy. But I want women to know that's a lot of weaknesses us men have.
Yes.
The same way that, you know, a man would have, and they're wired that way. We have like sexual needs, sexual desires that we wake up to. And if we don't get it, like Shorty will say, I'm not in the mood. And that's fine. That's fine.
It feels like rejection, though.
It feels like a rejection.
That's the real thing.
We take it personally.
We do.
That's the same way that they take it personally if we don't be empathetic to their approaches.
Yeah.
So I just want men and women to realize that we both have weaknesses in our, you know, wiring and our logic.
Process.
So like I'll tell the brothers right now, if she's not in the mood in the morning, it's not because she's hooking up with her coworker. There's so much shit going on with her hormones and her mind and her body, and every single one of these things happening at the same time. We don't have that problem. So we wake up like this, and we want this, and we don't get it. We're going to think that, oh, it must be John. It must be, no, it's not that deep, not that serious. Now, if she does that 12 days in a row, look into it. Look into it, brother. Like,
well, since you've gone there, listen, I mean, you obviously now, you got that knowledge, right? You've got that understanding. I've come to that understanding as well. So I understand that. It's a powerful place it could be when you can finally understand men and women are actually different, and it's good to be different. You know what I'm saying to you? And to celebrate those differences. So now you obviously get that knowledge, right? What takes you onto Ready to Love? Because in all honesty, with that knowledge now, you're unstoppable. You know what I'm saying to you? It's like the God powers have come. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the Marvel leveling up. So what takes you onto Ready to Love?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. And I will say from 25 to Ready to Love, I felt like I exhaust every practical way of finding my wife.
Oh, okay.
I did the homie sister. That was the first one.
Yeah.
I did the friend of a friend. That was the second one. I did social media. That was a 3-year relationship. I did the blind date. That was a 8 to 9 month relationship. I did the vacation bay. That was 16 months on and off for every vacation we went on. We, you know, linked up at a different place. I did for me, and I was never a city local dater.
Okay.
So I didn't know
Face on
any.
outside.
Yeah, and I felt like it was better that way.
Mm.
You know, like because when they're just on top of you, or when they have that kind of proximity, it's just you're gonna end up doing too much.
Mm.
You're gonna end up channeling your husband energy,
Mm.
and if you create some space, you learn how to fight that.
Mm.
You couldn't be a husband if you wanted to.
Mm.
There's 3,000 miles away, or 300 miles away. So and then when I did the whole Ready to Love auditioning process, I told myself, if I get on, the first girl that makes me feel like, yeah, that was it. That gotta be it. It has to be it, because the relationship I have with the universe, which I mean my God, is I have like an instantaneous, like I don't like. I know people. Yeah, like I know people say like God do trials and things. I think everyone has an individual relationship. So when everything works out for me, I just know like if I reach out to this person and they say boom, 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 God did that.
Okay.
So I told myself, if God wanted me on this show,
it will happen.
It will happen.
I hear it.
One audition, I got fast tracked. So I'm like, oh yeah, clearly my wife is gonna be here, because I got fast tracked to the end of the process.
Okay.
And I didn't know if I was gonna make it, but they said, hey, we're going to the next meeting is gonna be with the producers. Like we're not even gonna go through round 2, round 3, whatever. And personally, I think they were having a hard time getting male auditions.
It's always that way, yeah.
Yeah, I was told it was an 8-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, it's difficult.
So when they got a guy who just seemed like, look, it looks like to be some EQ and IQ, we're gonna like
push him through.
Yeah, straight to the executives. So I was actually in Italy, en route to Croatia, when I got the email that I will be meeting with the execs. Okay. And then, oddly enough, the woman that I was with on that trip, she was like, "Are you going to do it?" And I was just like, "Yeah." And she was disappointed.
Because she already had, maybe she was thinking about.
But we was just people that meet up on vacation. We never had a local
situationship.
I hate these buzzwords because everyone.
You said it.
No, and I know that's how people are gonna see it. But there's so much nuance.
There is no nuance in that. It's a situationship. What you have is a situationship which had far more emotional depth and packaging, which is still a situationship. Yeah, but because it was for you, it was emotionally backing you up. It was nice.
Yeah, it was.
And for her, I'm sure it was the same way.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe she didn't start off that way, but she started coming around to that idea that it could be more because emotions were involved.
You know what? If she sees this, she's gonna be like, "This is you. He get it. He got it. He understood." Yeah, but we made each other happy when we were together.
Okay,
but
you couldn't see it. You couldn't see it.
Nah. We made each other happy together, but in the end, how we started lets me know there wouldn't be a future.
I get what you're saying.
It was like one of those.
I mean, God can do some crazy things, you know. I mean, I used to think the same way until something happened to me. You get what I'm saying to you? So I'm just saying. I'm not saying that it's a principle. I'm saying to you that there are exceptions to rules. Rules are there on purpose, though.
I know what you're saying,
but you're saying it's not gonna happen.
What I'm telling you, and I just want people to understand this metaphor. You can get a bankruptcy. You can. Let's say you get a mortgage. And you fall on that mortgage, or whatever, and then now the bank seizes your house. So Santander is gonna lose $300K on that house. Another bank 9-10 years down the line might give you a chance, but Santander won't. The ones who got bit will never give you another chance. But that doesn't mean you don't deserve another loan. It just won't be from from the same.
Okay, I get what you're saying. That's right. Okay, I'll rock with that.
It's not misogynistic. It's just real life.
No. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I think
Everyone deserves another home mortgage.
I hear that. But just maybe not with the person
that you bid.
I get you.
The first one.
That makes sense. Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think
nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all. It's still a situationship, but nothing wrong with that. So coming back onto Ready to Love. Sorry, I took you off. Coming back to Ready to Love. You know, they fast track you. They push you onto this show. You're meeting their ex now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to know like your, and obviously like I said, you're a person that says like universe, God's gonna open up doors, and you're now there.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk me through this. The first day that you're on the show now, you know what I'm saying to you. I need first impression. I need to know who the first one when you walked in that door. You was like,
all right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you see it straight away. Like,
All right, so it's just like I'm channeling that energy from the first time. But I will say, I was nervous.
Okay.
Like I've never done something like this before. Mm-hmm. So, and the initial is a mixer.
Okay.
And we're like across the street from the Liberty Bell Independence Hall Visitor Center. They booked the second floor. I didn't even know it had like a little balcony area, like a terrace. But they had that area booked, but the women were up there. Ooh. The men were downstairs just mixing and mingling. So my initial reaction was meeting the men.
Okay.
So, and Will, God bless that man. He made me feel so comfortable.
He's a funny guy.
Funny guy. And as nervous as I came in, if he didn't create that atmosphere, I would have, stayed nervous. Yeah. Or I would have pretended to be Will. Because I think Will was equally nervous, but it got channeled in a comedian exterior.
Yeah, the humor.
If he didn't take that on, I would have took that on. And the women would have probably saw me the same way they saw him. Because he took that on, the only card or the only tool belt I had was to be, quiet and mysterious. I figured if I go that route, is less is more. So I'm not going to say anything. I'll just respond. So I went the respond route. So like if they ask me what I do, I'll tell them. If they ask me what you're into, I'll tell them. But I won't be the Joker guy because that role got taken. I saw it got taken when I walked in. Everyone else, I felt like there was like a too cool for school kind of approach. So I realized I might not be able to, but Will didn't have that approach. And not everyone. Khalil was like the perfect
even kill.
Yeah, just like homie he was the first one to set up the group chat. Like Ready to Love fellas. Like he had a way of just bridging everyone in. Even though as the weeks went by, they started, brothers started taking themselves out. Like
as they do.
But he, no one should have a negative thing to say about him because he just was even killed throughout the fellas. But then now we're meeting the women. So an hour go by. Yeah, they had us down there for a minute. It was hot as hell. Well, there was AC inside. It was hot outside. Right? And so we go outside. The first one I see was Coley. I thought she was drop dead gorgeous. I thought she was.
Shout out to Coley.
We still talk. Like, not like that.
Not what?
She gonna watch this like this. No, Coley and I is cool. Like, we still talk all the time.
Entanglement? I'm playing. Sorry, continue. So yeah, no, Cole's also.
Yeah, so I walk in and Coley and I are talking and I saw the red dress. I'm like,
yeah,
she made me feel like, oh damn, there's gonna be beautiful women here because she's the first one I meet. But she didn't give it a. Yeah, I knew what I was looking for.
Okay, when it hits you, it hits you.
Yeah, but I still, I was, entertaining conversation, we're talking, and then another brother walks in. I can't remember, but I remember the next person. It was Taye. When Taye walked in, I felt them.
Tiemo.
And it's funny, like she became a fan favorite, but she was literally like my personal favorite, like when she walked in. And I don't know if I was able to hide my reaction well, but I felt like okay, boom, goddamn, waste no time. I thought it was gonna be girl number 3, 4, 5, 6. Nah, I was like, nah, I'm gonna rock out with Taye. And from there, I knew that I just needed to lock in on Shorty, but I never watched the show.
Okay.
So, and I did a disservice to myself not watching the show.
Okay.
Because then I would have knew the lay of the land. I would have known these relationships must have a story arc.
Yeah.
It must start and progress and be able to be captured. Me, I was locking on her off camera. Because I figured I found her, we'd be texting. She got sick. I sent her a gift card. And then I was like, this is for medicine or ice cream, whichever one makes you feel better. And then so it was the little stuff that we would do, like, acts of service. I know women like that. And but when I was speaking to producers, they were kind of pushing Sahara. God bless her. That's another one I talk to all the time.
Well, hold on now.
Sahara is really cool.
Hold on.
I don't have a single negative thing to say about her, despite what it looked like.
Now hold on. Now
I can call her right now, but I won't.
Don't do that. Hold on now. Take us back. What do you mean? So wait. Okay, so Taye was the one that you thought you had a
Yeah.
That moment was a
yeah.
Right. You decided to lock in, but you're doing the work behind the scenes. Well, someone might ask, why not do it in front of the scenes? Why was it behind the scenes?
I was also talking to her in front of the scenes.
Okay.
But I noticed the cameras would just shift. And it didn't seem like everything that's captured is intentional.
Okay.
Like they're not just wasting film on anything. So where the cameras roll and like the producers have a director and the directors have an intention, and that intention is to be executed.
Okay.
I don't think they saw me and Taye as what the viewers would want. And but oddly enough, I'm not sure why not, but I didn't want to convince them. To me, that's not important. To me, it's convincing the woman.
Yeah.
So like I don't need their permission or blessing if I meet someone I like to pursue them. Okay. But it looks like they had someone else in mind for her, and they pushed that. And I'm not mad at it. I'm not bitter, but
this is what it is.
It was. If Taye honestly liked him, then I lost to a better person. But and I don't talk to Taye enough for me to know, but if Taye regrets doing what she did or picking the person that she did, then she needs to ask herself, why was she so easily influenced in a particular direction?
What do you mean by that? When you say she was easily influenced, what are you really saying? Because someone might say, what does that mean? Who's the influence? Because it's only you and her.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean, I would hope. Well, I can't hope, but the audience may not see it, but there's a lot of puppeteering happening.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of it.
A lot of strings being pulled.
A lot of strings being pulled. Like I don't end up on 4 dates with Sahara by accident. I didn't pick them. So basically there's a lot of and from my vantage angle, I feel like she got puppeteered into certain directions that didn't put her in the best light.
Okay.
But I will say, if you felt that, if she got puppeteered in that direction, I would ask her to ask herself, why was she so easily able to get puppeteered in that direction? And there's no shot to her because we're all growing in life. Though the process was only 6 weeks, it's the rest of our lives moving forward. So I saw things about myself that I didn't like. Like my posture was terrible, fucking terrible.
This thing you doing here
Yeah,
is crazy
like
work.
like I want y'all to see that there's a neck here. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a
There is actually a neck
bona fide. Yeah, like I have my father's neck. You know what I mean? Like
He had you like this. He had you.
like you know, like and that's on me. Like I'm not gonna blame the camera for that. But you know, my posture was terrible. My tone at times, I felt like, oh man, maybe I am channeling that condescending thing that I used to have. But that comes in and out. It doesn't come out all the time.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not who I am.
Yeah.
You know, I have, for the most part, I have everyone around me best interests at heart. Like I was the guy that was showing up to the sets with Red Bull and beef jerky for all the fellas because I didn't want to be eating and nobody, you know, whatever. So like, but for me, it was camaraderie.
Okay.
Like I felt like, you know, I could set a tone. Whether some cats don't like me or not, I'm not gonna speak on that. But I know I wasn't fishing for that or aiming for that. Despite what it looked like on camera, Sahara and I really did have a good rapport. It's just she's very animated, so it seemed like her approach at times was her approach the whole time.
When you say animated, we have a different word we're using.
Look,
you're saying animated, but for people it wasn't animated. For people it was like it seemed brash. That's what you wanted to say. Animated is a beautiful word. Animated is like, oh, I use my hands, I gesticulate. You know what I'm saying to you? That's something that's animated.
I know what you're doing, and this is
I'm
where
just
I
saying.
lose the audience.
No, that's not really. You're losing.
You can't disrespect a black woman.
It's not about disrespecting them.
Yeah.
Because see, it's not about disrespecting them, but the reality is when you say someone's animated, I'm animated. Do you know what I'm saying to you? I'm animated.
Yeah.
That's not what you're describing.
All right.
And I think that's where you lose audience. Because rather they know that that's not your true, authentic. And I'm not saying to say something. I'm not saying tear the person down.
No.
What I'm saying to you is
do
the truth of the matter is it's not animated. That's not how you felt about it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying to you?
No, you're right. You're right. And what I'm going to say to that is the word I used on set, I believe I said she lacked decorum. Okay. But when I was talking, the only word that came to my head was ghetto. Okay. But I didn't want to use that. If I use the word ghetto and I associate it to a black woman, this is bigger than Sahara. Okay. This is a black man saying a woman who doesn't fit his mode is ghetto. That's fair. So I was like, I can't use the word ghetto. Okay. But that was the only word that came to my head. So then I'm like, look, I'm going to say she lacks decorum. That's fair. Do you know, I read the Reddits. I read the people at Lipstick Alley. I read the comments. They made it sound like I called her a Nazi. They went hard. How dare he say he lacks decorum? She lacks decorum. I'm like, I thought that would have a softer landing. I honestly thought when I said she lacked decorum, it would be like, you know, he gets it. You know, like she's a little animated, but, you know, lacks decorum. Man, they went in on me for using that. I almost feel like I would have been better off using the word ghetto. But I know ghetto has a negative connotation regardless of the tone or how you say it. Yeah. So I thought, to me, when you say lack decorum, that means it could be worked on. When you say ghetto, that's a permanent stamp you're putting on someone. And I didn't want not from me. I didn't want a permanent label coming to her from me. But I knew from day one, they knew me and her wouldn't be a match. But after the Flat Earth segment, they was like, we need to get them together more. We need to see like how that's gonna, you know. Why do they think that you two would be better? No, they didn't think we'd be better. They saw me as the one person who was patient enough to talk to her for more than 20 minutes at a time. That's how I see it. Because there were other people that they had them on screen. And, you know, like SR was there, like these people had little patience. Even though it looks like, you know, I had her at the bottom, week after week, I was the only one. It just, they didn't show the other guys. They just allowed them to quietly put Sahara at the bottom.
That's
But they made it seem like I was loud about it. I wasn't.
because there's an episode where you Cam calls you out. Cam calls you out and says that you was trying to you was vibing to get Sahara out. You know what I'm saying to you? I want to know, were you vying to get her out?
No,
because
that was total
that's
BS. And I know he knows that. That was total BS. And I'm not going to speak on him too much because I don't want him speaking on me. I'm not going to take it well. But I'll say it was total BS in terms of me trying to get Shorty out.
Okay.
I had a conversation with the producers and I said, yo, this is democracy. The next time I'm going to count Sahara votes. And I'm going to call you guys out because I'm like, last time she had 7. She's still here.
So you're saying she had a lot of votes?
Yeah. And I'm just like, 9. Like, how did so, but I'm not trying to get her out. I just want to know, is this the democracy that they made it seem like? And then that's when I realized it's not. Because that's week.
Life, yeah.
It's not. Yeah. Like, the producers run the show, not us. We're just figureheads. You know, we're not even figureheads. We're just puppets, poster boys. Like, but when the strings on their puppets aren't as tight as they want it, you know, if you don't do what they say, you just become a villain. So I saw myself becoming a villain, even though I was respectful and kind to everybody on that set, from the talent managers to the production to the fellas. Like I didn't have any problems on set, but that whole call out situation, it couldn't have been more inauthentic. Like, hypothetically, just imagine like you go on set at 10:30 a.m. Right? This is how it works. You do the walk-ups. Yeah. Right? And even though you'll see us in the vault at the beginning of the week, and then you'll see us at the vault at the end of the week, in reality, we're shooting both scenes at the same day. Yeah. This is how production works. Yeah. So, you know, I'm not revealing anything some people don't know. So we do the walk. Like, imagine you're with a group of fellas. You do walk-ups, right? So that's each person walking up to the door. And then they'll shoot you 3 times, like face, floor up, and a body. So each person does that. That's 3 minutes a person, 9 people, 27 minutes. And then you go have lunch. And then after lunch, you change into a second outfit, and then you do walk-ups again. Makes sense. So that's 27 minutes, blah, 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 blah. Now 3 hours go by between lunch, that, and that. And then now it's time to film the 2 vault scenes. Well, you actually film the first vault scene after the first walk-up, and then you're filming the second vault scene. At this point to the second vault scene, we are now 4 to 5 hours in. Now, imagine you spent 4 to 5 hours with somebody, and then hour 5, cameras come on. You know, I got smoke with you. Oh, we just spent 5 hours together. Okay. Like, is this with me or is this for the cameras? Like, 5 hours, you don't say a word to somebody, and then at hour 5, I got a problem with this guy. So I saw that, okay, somebody was trying to put on a Superman cape for the camera. So I didn't make that a big deal. Okay. If I wanted to make a big deal, I would have made it a big deal. But I had enough foresight to see that. And like men are men. So if a man honestly feels threatened, it could go to a whole different place. Like I did have certain situations with other brothers on there that I'm not even going to talk about because I was man shit. But that wasn't one of them. That to me was some 8th grade stuff. Because I've been in 8th grade. I know how it works. That it was literally a childish moment, but I quickly saw as it was rolling how this is gonna look, and I just bit that bullet because I didn't want my mom who's gonna watch this think I'm just acting a fool or like I'm fighting over a girl or whatever. That's not the man she raised, you know. Like I'm on here to possibly find my wife. If not, still portray myself in the best light. That's the foundation. If I find my wife, that's a plus. But at the very least, I still got to portray myself in the best light. And when somebody goes, the clown route or the circus route, you become another clown whether you're not.
Yeah.
So you don't join the circus just because somebody invited you. So that's the route I went.
That's fair. Okay, so the Sahara situation, that went it. They kind of pushed it together, and obviously that kind of happened. Obviously, Cam situation, you explained that. Obviously, you had, you had a loose connection with Rose. We kind of saw that. We kind of saw a little bit of that, but we didn't. We didn't fully blossom because you guys got to a point where you guys had a conversation about kids and what you wanted kids or not, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think you said that you didn't mind if you didn't have kids.
No. I would have to have kids.
Oh, so you had to have kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then there was a disagreement. I'm trying to remember
the disagreement was on the idea that there's a possibility that she couldn't have kids, but I didn't want that pressure to fall on her physically.
Okay.
So that's when I proposed the idea of surrogacy, and she was completely turned off at the idea of somebody carrying her child.
Yes.
So she went on to propose adoption, but then I went on to tell her my need to procreate wouldn't really be satisfied by adoption.
Which is fair.
Yeah. So, but to me, that's two adults having a healthy conversation.
Yeah.
We don't have to agree. I think my disagreement with her in that moment was her reaction. Because if I had a harsh reaction to adoption, that would make me lack empathy.
Yeah.
But for her to have a harsh reaction to surrogacy, that means she lacks. She didn't have that empathetic approach to my needs. So
how did that make you feel then? In all honesty, how did that make you feel?
It didn't make me feel as harsh as some of the people in the comments who were coming to my defense. I appreciate that. And the reason it didn't, because I used to be Rose. I used to be the person that reacts harshly to somebody not getting the response or answer they wanted. So when I saw Rose react like that, I'm like, it's cool. It just means, A, we're not each other's person, and B, she, just like me, still has, some character development to do, because in a natural conversation between a man and a woman, that no one should get villainized on their approach to the way they want things if they said it in a respectful manner.
I hear you.
And both parties are being respected at the same idea. I think her view on surrogacy might have been looked at as disrespectful to women who have gone that route. Because surrogacy not only is emotionally taxing, it's financially taxing. And it's like people that go that route, they're not taking the easy way out.
Yeah.
Usually people that go that route went through a lot of emotional and physical trauma before they went to that route. So villainizing a person for going that route or proposing that route. What about the 10,000 women, yesterday, like in the past that went down that route? It wasn't, they weren't taking no easy way out, And I think that's why, you'll see a lot of, political figures or celebrities not being transparent about their surrogacy journey because they fear of getting the attack. Yeah. But that attack is not going to come from men. It usually comes from them. It comes from other women, being each other's, harshest critics. No man is ever going to look at a woman and say, "How dare you not carry my seed?" Like, no man, because we can't do it ourselves. Brothers are never going to real brothers are never going to hold people to expectations that they can't do themselves. So I would never look at a woman and say, if you can't carry my seed, you're less of a woman. But I do think some women fear of getting that criticism from other women. And I think that's how Rose might have been looked at, or that's the energy that she might have been given. And Rose is a good person, though. She's a kind person. But like me, character development happens with time. Yeah. So I would hope she saw that and saw things about herself the same way I saw things about myself. that needed work on.
I think that's fair. I didn't have any comments that I understood your point at the time when you were discussing it with Rose. I think, like you said, people get triggered sometimes conversations. You know what I mean? Like they have their viewpoint, and sometimes you just get caught up in the conversation, and their emotions are running before you. You know what I mean? So I can understand that perspective. Okay, so your connection the connection kind of faded, but then your main connection.
Shaunie.
Yeah. Because you was getting little smooches. I want to know, before you even go to that, I want to know, did you know that she was doing neke? Because she done neke.
She did.
She did neke with somebody else.
She did.
Listen, it's a show, it's a dating show, so to be honest, no one can really be mad. But I'm saying at the same time, still, when you hear it from the third source, I don't know if you heard it from, did you hear it from?
No, I heard it from her. I heard it from her first.
Fair enough.
But
shout out to Shaunie for that.
You know, I'll be even more transparent about how that went down. She gave them the green light for the whole, nudist body positivity thing, but she actually requested me for that date.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know if it was like the stars aligning. I don't know what it was, or the stars misaligned. But I was double booked with Rose that morning.
Can I call you Rose?
So I used that song with her. But I was double booked with Rose that morning, and so it was going to be Rose at 11 and her at like 4:00. I could be mixing the numbers, but Rose came a little late, which pushed back the timeline. So they brought in my replacement at the last minute.
Damn.
And when they brought in my replacement at the last minute, she was a little taken back. She thought it was going to be me. And
damn.
She called me and was like, look, she told me everything that went down. And she said she wasn't as free as she wanted to because it wasn't, the choice that she picked. And I told her, look, as long as it didn't force you to do anything, on camera that you wanted, that you wasn't willing to do. But like, she was on the phone with me. Like we was on the phone for like 2 hours after that. Like she was getting show fatigue at that point. And I didn't know if I was spilling it on her because she was the one keeping me whole, keeping me grounded, because after week 2, week 3, and you just start seeing that, hey, you're being pulled in the directions that they want, but not the directions you want to be. And granted, pulling 10 people in the directions that you want or they want specifically will probably be difficult.
Yeah.
But pulling everybody in the direction that they don't want is equally toxic. Like that had to be,
difficult.
Yeah. But Shaunie and I, we spoke every day through the process.
Oh, wow.
So she knows, like, I was massaging Sahara's feet. I don't think they aired that, but she knows that I was, doing all that. She knows that Taye was my first connection. Like, I was very transparent about everything. But Shaunie and I have, like, a relationship or friendship that will probably last like coffin type shit. Like I got a feeling, if I ever have kids, they'll be able to call her and just, what was daddy like?
Well, daddy was kissing Shaunie. I don't know if it's gonna work out with someone else.
Yeah,
to
this day, I still tease her about that grandma kiss.
What was that kiss then? So what was going on? I thought that was the beginning of great sparks and fireworks.
Yeah. I mean, they just didn't air it. They didn't give us the date that we wanted. But that was because, Shaunie was probably my equivalent on that side in terms of like not doing everything they wanted to do.
I hear you saying.
Like she wasn't entertaining every guy or doing all that. And I mean, she did give them the body that they wanted.
Body, yaddy, yaddy.
She gave them the exposure that they wanted, but she wasn't with the whole just talking to every guy, you know? And so when you knock that person, Deanna was the same way.
Yeah,
she wasn't. Deanna's cool as hell.
Yeah.
Shout out to her. Like when I tell you she's really cool,
she really is.
She's not like what was portrayed.
Yeah.
You know, like they portrayed this tough ass exterior, but like she's really gentle.
Yep.
You know,
I
like
can agree that.
she might have a profession that requires her to be tough, but when you meet her, that's as feminine as it gets, shorty. I mean, between the face and the body and her tone, like she has a soft spoken tone. People get caught up in her word choices, but I'm like, that's very weak if she's not disrespecting you. You know, if she's disrespecting you, then so be it. But if she's not saying what you don't want to hear, as an adult, you got to be able to navigate those conversations. There's no way you made it to anywhere in your career by not being able to hear something that you don't want to hear. Like I see people walk away from conversations they don't like. That's a sign of an adult who hasn't matured. You know, you got to be able to navigate those conversations. If you're listening to something that you don't like, you either understand it from that vantage point, or you tell them your approach to whatever the content of the conversation is.
That's fair.
But if you walking away, there's no difference between you and a 5-year-old. And a lot of adults have that missing piece. And I think the show, the way they edited it, they made it look like a lot of people were, you know, immature adults. And it's like, nah. I know Deanna wasn't one of them, and Shaunie wasn't one of them either.
So what made you connect with Shaunie though? Because obviously, I know I joked about the case. Obviously, of course, it's real. But what made you connect? Because you know, sometimes you don't get to see that as much on the show because why they developed. Why did that relationship develop?
That's a good question. I never thought about it like that. It just happened organic. You know what? The same way that this podcast happened, I'm a sucker for God. You put God in your bio, and I was just like, okay, if Shaunie, because Shaunie was the one who said I need to, you know, give my truer self to the screen because it didn't get captured on the show.
Yeah.
And I told Shaunie, haters are gonna think what they're gonna think. You can't change a hater. Like that's something within them. If somebody's saying something mean about me on the comments and I did nothing to them, that's something within them. I can't change a hater.
Yeah.
But she made a good point. She said you may not can change the hater, but you could change the people that are reading the haters' comments. Because they're not the ones who said it, but they're reading. And they're getting skewed based on what they're reading in the comments. So this guy is, you know, misogynistic, or this guy is elitist, or he's, you know, he's a netback. I don't know what they're saying. You know, he's one of these. You know, one of my nicknames was Fester. I don't even know who Fester is.
The way you was hunched up. I ain't want to say it, but
like you know, this is a sign of nervousness.
At that point, you was about to serve a plate. I'm just saying.
But you know, like, but I could appreciate taking like, and this probably my one and only interview. But I could appreciate when I saw you had God in your podcast. I'm like, okay, that's gonna put a ceiling on the BS, you know, like, because like in today's world, people do not weaponize God. That's how I feel. Like people got enough respect that if they're gonna put God's name in something, nobody is going to utilize the name of God and associate it to BS. So, and I'm a sucker for that. So Shaunie was sending me Bible verses.
Wow.
You know, so to answer your question, she was sending me Bible verses on a daily basis in the morning. It kind of reminded me of when I was married, you know, because we were raised in the church. And even though that relationship didn't, you know, go the way I wanted it to, I never have a single negative thing to say about my ex-wife. We made mistakes. You know, some that, you know, maybe I was too hard-headed at the time, or maybe we just had to separate. But I will never rob our experience with putting her down, because I know we were raised in the church. So when I see somebody giving me daily affirmations and Bible verses, I don't think that can be faked. I think when people go down that route, they either been through things and, their spiritual relationship with God got them out of it. So they know how to give that feeling to somebody else. So when I was getting that from Shaunie, she was the only one that went down that route. I'm not shaming the other folks at all.
You're saying that
that's separated from her. And that doesn't mean she's not like a sexual being. Religious people are not monolithic. She's just a woman that been through the trenches of life and she came out whole. And because of that, she can date someone and give that spiritual energy. So when I received it from her, I'm a sucker for it. If people are gonna associate God to their actions, they automatically get the benefit of the doubt. Like I automatically know that there's going to be a fuckery limit. I'm sorry. Yeah, even worse than that, I'm using the word God, but what I'm trying to say is there's going to be a ceiling on the effery, I want people to know that Moses was a murderer, right? And
David was a murderer too.
Yeah,
he stole someone's wife.
Yeah, these apostles are not saints,
We all growing.
Disciples, we're all growing.
Don't worry, I'm not judging.
I'm not finished.
I'm not judging.
Yeah, but as a growing person, I can still admit when I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But that's how me and Shaunie, and that's why me and Shaunie are still tight to this day.
Okay.
I was on FaceTime with her, as you can see, 20 minutes ago. Yeah.
Okay, I hear that. So obviously, because the show hasn't finished, I don't want to talk about certain things because obviously the show hasn't finished, right? So up to the point, obviously, it's your connection with Shaunie. Yep. Is there anyone else in connection with you?
Rocky.
Rocky.
I think Rocky got the short end of the stick in terms of like exposure.
Okay, talk to us.
I don't think they. I don't know how many dates she had, but I don't think she had enough exposure for people to see her personality. In my opinion, 1 to 10, Rocky's personality is a 10 plus.
Wow. Okay.
And I would put, in my opinion, her at the highest end of all the women.
Wow.
Like 95 percentile. See, everyone else, they might have looks and body or, complexion or whatever brothers like to see. Yeah. But in terms of personality, Rocky was the easiest one to talk to.
Wow.
Nobody was easier to talk to. And I feel like most of the brothers would agree with me. But they're just, people get caught up on, appearances or lack thereof, and they just think, like those are the types that get, but Rocky could throw that shit on. Since the show, like Rocky and I are friends on Snapchat, she's lost weight, like she's, Rocky with the braids, her hair. Shaunie threw a watch party. Rocky came to the watch party looking good. But the show didn't get that, The show got, Rocky, doing a poem after it rained twice, so it just looked like
that poem was intense.
Yeah, but Rocky really that shorty. Like she really, I still talk to Rocky, not in a sexual way. We tease about it all the time, but it's more like she's easy to talk to. And
so she's a great counselor. She's not. Mm-hmm. I hear what you're saying. I'm a great person to talk to. You know what I'm saying to you?
But
she's a great counselor.
No. Because I don't go to Rocky for solutions.
Okay.
I go when I talk to Rocky, here, if I mince my words here, the comment section might go crazy.
Yeah. When
I mince my words with Rocky, she's quick to say, "I know what you mean." And she covers. I know what you mean. It's not like that. But when you talking to most people and you double back with something you just said, and you're like, dang, that might get taken a certain way. That person, people love to not give you the benefit of the doubt.
That's fair.
So they love to just be like, no, He said that, and that's how he meant it.
Mm.
So because it's negative, and our community has a grip hold on toxicity.
Mm.
So it's like if you said something that can be minced and mixed or even diced a certain way,
Yeah.
no one wants nuance. No one wants the 360 thing. They're just gonna take that soundbite and go, whoop, that's who he is.
Mm.
When I talk to Rocky, I can cuss, I can sound misogynistic without being misogynistic.
Mm.
I can sound like a douchebag without being a douchebag. Because Rocky knows that, like when you're talking to someone, like I don't, it's like people be like, "Oh, there's a lady around." You have to talk to her.
It's in a prim and proper way, yeah.
Yeah, with Rocky, we be on FaceTime. I don't have to talk to her like there's a lady around, even though she is a lady and she deserves respect. But she doesn't take anything not directed at her disrespectful.
So she's a great counselor. I don't know. It's not too disrespectful. It's just as what it is. Like there are certain women that you're not gonna ever go there with, but they have your heart because they are somebody who covers you, protects you, speaks life into you. But that makes that might make a great friend for you, but may never progress further than that. So she didn't get bad at it because that's what people were seeing.
Did they see that?
That's what they saw.
That's what they saw.
They said we said Rocky must have been a banging personality.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then they kind of got it right. I felt like she got
drawn in like that, and that's understandable because we're looking for dating rather than friends.
Yeah, but so when you said counselor, it just made it seem like that's all she could be.
Oh no. She's a counselor for you, my boy.
She could be so much more than that for the right person.
Yes, for the right person.
Yeah.
It wasn't on that show.
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that she can't be anything more than that. But she will be everything more.
I just feel like in a world or in a production world where they let Sahara go that far, I felt like a Rocky deserves an equal chance. Because Sahara is not everyone's flavor, but they kept her. Okay. So Rocky should have got that same chance.
Okay, Susan.
Like, I feel as though, like, somebody that's with a banging ass personality like that would have been better off being in the room.
Okay, Susan.
Because now you just got people that are attracted to each other, but it's just fuel and a light switch waiting to happen the moment they have one conflict. But Rocky wasn't conflictable. That's not even a word. Yeah, but Rocky would have Rocky in the room would have soothed things because Rocky just assumes a person like her assumes the better in you until you prove them different.
I understand. That's a great quality.
It's an amazing quality to have.
It doesn't mean you're going to relationship. That's what I'm trying to say to you. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying. You know what's so funny about relationships is that people can be those things, but okay, so it might work for someone else. But it's funny how people that are oftentimes not all the things that make a perfect human being are usually the ones that people end up trying to date. Because in reality, we like the stark contrast. You know what I'm saying, Chief?
No, I agree, but I think it's even worse. I think humanity, as people, men and women, have drawn onto things that seem obtainable. And obtainability for them gets triggered when they see flaws.
Okay.
So it's like when you see, like, women will see like a 6-figure brother, right? And if he dress well, he speaks articulate, and he doesn't have any kids, and he has a nice height on him, good credit score, a decent house. Some women will brush him over because
of what he has.
Because of who he is. And it might trigger the iniquities in them. And not knowing this brother's not perfect, but they haven't found something that makes him obtainable. Okay. Because that brother who worked on himself is not gonna go with a woman who hasn't worked on himself. Herself. So if that woman hasn't worked on herself, they're not going to mesh. Okay. And a lot of women, rather than work on themselves to be the equivalent of that brother, they rather get a brother who has 2 baby moms or something, or lack something in their world, and then they would be like, okay, he looks obtainable, and I don't really want to be perfect, or I don't want to be a better version of myself. This is how some of those people get together, and then they wonder why that relationship didn't last. You're not working on yourself. He's not working on himself. This is a toxic situation waiting to happen. Get with brothers who did the shadow work while you're doing the shadow work. So now you can catch each other on each other's journey. There's no finish line. You just have to match with somebody that's on that journey. But you can tell who's on that journey, and you can tell who isn't, just by the way they handle everyday situations. And I think people rather not go to the gym. They'd just rather get a chubby guy so we could be fat together, so we could just eat, Netflix at night and not push each other to go to the gym on Sunday. And the brother that is going to the gym every Sunday, I watched a brother recently get shamed for having a daily routine. A daily routine. Hey, yo. Shaq, wish you were alive.
Oh, shoot, my bad.
It's her birthday. Forgive her. She's recovering from last night. Shout out to Club Aqua and Club LA in London. They took care of us. No. I watched. There was I don't know his name. I think it was like Mr. Ashton Hall.
The guy that's so famous right now.
Yeah, like he gone viral. Yeah. But I watched a lot of people shame him for and I'm looking at this and don't get me wrong, I kind of want muscles, not that much, but I'm looking at, I don't see nothing in here to shame. Yeah, that's just a brother with a routine. And he didn't develop that routine overnight. Clearly, he's been working on himself. To me, that's shadow work. And rather than humanity accept their iniquities, they'd rather shame somebody who's been chiseling away at theirs. Okay. That's how humanity is. I see them that way. So, but if you saw somebody who got up, ate McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, watched Netflix, and then later that night smoke some weed, and on their story, nobody's gonna say low vibrations. That's just a regular story. Nobody's gonna say, nobody's gonna shame that person because they're doing what you agree with. Even though you might not do that, you agree with it. But if you watch somebody who has a daily routine that's built around progress, it's gonna be like, who the hell gets up at 3 a.m.? Who the hell runs 7 miles a day? Why do people have a toxic relationship with progress? And that's because they stop progressing. Okay, that's fair. So that's very real. That's very real. And since you're asking about progression, we've got to progress because I'm gonna run out of time, and I have actually run out of time. Let's progress it to the last point, because obviously the major thing that was obviously around you is that you were doing Neo. You know what I mean? You was they said that you was out here like Neo. Shit. And you want to have all the bad bees. They said that you just collecting and hoarding them. Oh my God. So we need to talk about it really, really quickly. Yeah. This poly stuff. Okay. You know what I'm saying to you? I know we touched it lightly at the very beginning about the hashtags and everything like that. The poly stuff. Got it. Sir, are you a poly individual? No, I am not a poly individual. Are you trying to go into it? No, I'm not trying to go into it. But I take it as a compliment. 37 hashtags is a lot. Huh? Yeah, I was following a couple of hashtags, just like I was following daily affirmations. I'm following fitness workouts. I'm following Jesus is King. I'm following a lot. And funny enough, I actually cleaned up my Instagram prior to starting the show, and I didn't give it 2 thoughts about the poly thing because it doesn't show up on my algorithm. Because if you don't like it enough, it just doesn't even show up, even though you're following it. And so I didn't think it was a big deal. I saw it, but I didn't think it was a big deal. I unfollowed some other stuff that I thought was a big deal. I didn't think that because I didn't think people would believe it. That's why in the beginning, I took it as a compliment that people thought I could even pull that off. Like a man who could pull off 2, 3, 4 women, you know, it's a compliment to pull off one woman and keep that at, you know, a couple of years long term. So to pull it off on a long term basis, no, I wouldn't even try it. Yeah, it looks stressful. Like to me, that's reserved for the uber successful. And even then, it looks stressful.
Yeah.
Like it, but I would watch it. You know, I would watch, like, we're all invested in Neo's journey. Like we stopped talking about his music, even though this man is clearly a top 10 musician of our time. We stopped. Maybe not. I don't know. You know, I can tell people gonna be like top 10. He's really that dude, though. I got all the respect for Neo, but what I'm trying to say is, it's like that has now hovered over his music. Like he can do a show with 30,000 people, and everybody is watching him kiss 3 girls backstage. Yeah. How about the show? Like he probably ripped that stage down.
This is a new show.
But,
that's why.
So if people are so invested in, if that man did a reality show with him and his wives, and the people who were attacking me watched that show, what does that say about you? It means you're just as interested in watching people do poly. It's just you waited for it to be Neo. I'm watching regular people pull it off. Just like I was telling you earlier, I watch, you know, I know women who go to sleep to murder podcasts. Are they going to kill somebody one day? I don't think so. I hope not. You know, so like poly was never that deep. But I can understand why the producers wanted to run with it, because that gives me a story arc that makes me, you know, I guess
easy to evict.
Yeah.
It's something that they can get you out of.
Exactly. It made it easier to stomach the thought of me being off the show. You know, it made it's like boom, we got a chink in his armor.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So okay, final round of last bit. Is there anything else you want to clear up? Yeah, because obviously we only put this is part 1 because we don't know what's gonna happen after this.
I got a neck. Yeah, I'm gonna clear that up. And what else? I stopped reading the comments because I realized they weren't in my favor. So I don't know what else. You know, I'm cool with all the women on the show, Sahara included. You know, like everyone's cool.
So you're not airing her anymore. Is that what you're saying?
Not fearing her?
Not airing her, because you was kind of almost. Well, the responses. I shouldn't say airing. The responses were a little copy and paste.
No, she's getting individual messages.
Are you sure? Yes, I'm really sure.
Oh, I'm fine.
Don't come out and then tell us that you've been copying and pasting messages.
Nah.
You know what I mean?
Cool. I think, we actually went on a personal date. Okay. Like during the show.
Oh.
Like that didn't get aired.
Was it full of decorum?
It was cool. Yeah. It was in Manioc. It was all right. You know, she asked me to meet her. I went, and you know, she was cool. Nothing
untoward.
It was solid.
Fair enough. Well, listen, look, our time is up. You know what I mean? And you've been a good sport. You know what I'm saying, Chu? It's been a good conversation. You're my first ever interview in person.
It's my first ever interview,
period. So listen, this is our first, you know what I'm saying, Chu? So I appreciate you spending some time with myself, having this conversation, being frank, being open, being honest, sharing your perspective. You know, and like you said, haters are going to be haters. People are going to feel how they feel. People are going to take it how they're going to take it. Obviously, we haven't seen the rest of the episodes yet, so we don't know what's going to happen for now. You know what I'm saying, Chu? But as we are here at this point, hey, you know, we appreciate the truth. We appreciate your perspective. You know, I know there's always more that's underneath the surface, but we'll save that for maybe for another time. Let that save up. But yeah.
Yeah, shout out to everybody in London. I'm loving my time here. I'm coming back, definitely. I took way too long to come here for the first time. I'm staying in Kensington right now. If y'all knew what our Kensington looks like, yo, this is a beautiful neighborhood, man.
Very nice.
It's I think the word they use is posh.
It's very posh, man.
Yeah. It's a beautiful neighborhood. Nothing like our Kensington. But you know,
echelon.
We're working on it. You know, America's the remix. We're working on it.
Well, listen, audience, it's been amazing. Thank you so much. You joined us for the very first, I guess, interview in person that I've been able to have. So Fritz is obviously the first one to have this season as well. So maybe later on as the show comes back on, we'll get some more people on to interview them as well. So I hope you've enjoyed the conversation. Please keep it cute, keep it classy, keep it kosher in the chat as well. Leave a comment when the video finishes, okay? It makes people know that this is something that you enjoyed, it's something that you're a part of and you participated in, okay? All right, and again, keep it cute, keep it classy, all right? Keep it kosher in the chat. We appreciate you. All right? Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you again very, very soon. Much love, much appreciation. Ta-ra, ta-ra. Don't do what I wouldn't do, people. Okay?